Hi everyone, my name is Emily. Welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be sharing with you all the books I read in March and all the books I plan to read in April. 90% of the books on my wrap up for this month were not on my March TBR, so I've decided from here on out not to make like a complete solidified TBR. But for April, I do have a couple books that I absolutely have to read. So like my book club book of the month. I'm also hosting a read along of the Throne of Glass series, so we're reading one book every month. And then I have a couple books from March that I wasn't able to finish that I'm going to carry over into April. So those are the only books that are going to be on my TBR. So I'm just going to get started. Most of these books I actually read for videos as well, so I'm just going to tell you my readings on those and go a little bit into how I felt about them. But for more of an in-depth review, I'm going to post 2 reading vlogs during the month of April with like my thoughts and stuff. I'll talk about them a little more in a second. I do have my reading journal here with my spreads. I was able to read 12 books this month, which is my highest of the year so far. I just have to do my math of like how many pages I read. Give me one second. Oh my gosh, this is like almost double what I normally read. 6,059 pages. Like, oh my gosh, that's so much. Let's just get started. So the first book I read was actually a novella, and it is Killjoy by Holly Jackson. This is the prequel novella for the Good Girls Guide to Murder trilogy. This one is like a murder mystery party, and it shows how Pip got the idea for her capstone project. I rated this book 4 stars. I remember it being really fun and still really thrilling, even though there's not really that much of a risk with it, because obviously none of the characters in this book die because they show up in the first book of the Good Girls Guide to Murder trilogy, and like it's just a murder mystery party, but Holly Jackson still makes it feel like there's so much at stake, even though it's just like a game. I just rated it 4 stars because I don't know, it wasn't 5-star material for me. I feel like when you know, you know, but it was still really good. The next book I read was Final Offer by Lauren Asher. This whole time I've been saying The Final Offer, and then when I looked it up on Goodreads, it was like nothing found, no books found. And I was like, why? This is obviously a book. And then I realized it's called Final Offer, not The Final Offer. That messed me up a little bit. But this one I rated 4.75 stars. It was really good. It felt really long. I felt like this middle chunk right here could have been cut out. At one point it was just dragging on much longer than it needed to be. I loved Alana, I loved Cal, and I loved, what's the kid's name again? I don't even remember what the kid's name was. Cammy. Duh. Oh my gosh, I really forgot her name for a second. But I think this was a really good conclusion to the trilogy. I think Lauren Asher's working on her next series trilogy, and I'm really excited for that. I'm currently reading the Dirty Air trilogy series right now. I love a good small town romance. I love a good second chance romance. I love a good friends to lovers. So this was like friends to lovers, enemies to lovers, second chance romance all in one. So I really enjoyed it. I just wish that it was a little bit shorter. The next book I read was Mile High by Liz Tomford. Oh my gosh, guys, this was probably one of my favorite, if not my favorite books from this month. It was so good. It was so much better than I was expecting. Everyone was hyping up the second book in this series, trilogy, whatever it's gonna be. So when I went into this one, I was like, okay, I'll just read this one so I can read the second one. This one pleasantly surprised me so much. Stevie, love her. Z, love him. V and Z, love them together. Ugh. This one's a hockey romance with a hockey player and one of the flight attendants on his team plane. There are just so many really good quotes in here, and I just enjoyed this book so much. As you can see, I tabbed it. I posted a picture about it on Bookstagram, so if you want to check out like some of my favorite quotes that I highlighted, please check out my Bookstagram. The link is in the description. Words cannot describe how much I love this book. I also very much cried while reading this. Also, this has a bomb playlist. Whoever made this playlist, we need to be friends. As soon as I saw Safety Net on here, I was like, yep, I'm gonna love this book. And that's what convinced me to read this book, actually. I got this in the mail with like a bunch of other books, and I was like, which one do I read first? I saw the playlist. I was like, yeah, this is going first. And that's why I read it so quickly, and I loved it. I loved it so much. And if you didn't gather from that, it was 5 stars. These next 4 books I did read for one of the reading blogs I was talking about, so I won't go too in depth with my review on them. The video for these first 4 will be out first, and then the rest of the books are going to be featured in another video. Please be patient with me. This is a lot to handle. So the first video I will be having on my channel is reading some of Sarah Caroli's favorite books. I've been eyeing these books for forever, and I was like, those are actually all her favorite books, I was realizing after like watching some of her videos. So I was like, okay, I'll just make a themed video for it. So here are the 4 of them. I will go in reading order. So the first was By a Thread by Lucy Score. I ate this up, 5 stars. I ate it up. I loved it. Look at my cute little pink tabs that match. This book was like no plot, just vibes. This one's about a girl who needs a lot of money for a specific reason. I'm not gonna say because I don't really know if it's a spoiler or not, but she gets fired from her job because of this really jerky guy who's eating lunch with his mother. Then the mother finds her crying at the bus stop later and feels bad, so she hires her for part of their like fashion magazine company. It's basically a romance between her and the guy that got her fired. It was definitely enemies to lovers. There was a lot of tension. I loved it. Then I also read If He Had Been With Me. It gave lit fic vibes more than romance vibes. I don't even remember if I cried. Did I cry? I might have. I don't know. If you watch my vlog, you'll find out if I cried or not, because I don't remember. This book was so sad, and like the premise of it, the concept of it, if he had been with me, things would be different. Man, just thinking about that ending really makes me sad. And I rated this one 4.25 stars. It wasn't a 5-star read for me because I just didn't really get that feeling, but it was still really good. It was a little boring during this chunk. I flew through it really quickly just because it's young adult, the words are big. It wasn't 5-star material, but it wasn't bad either, so that's why I gave it 4.25. The next one is Magnolia Parks by Jessa Hastings. I finally read this one. I didn't really like the writing style of it, like the way that they would phrase things and say certain things. I was like, no one talks like that. But at the same time, this takes place in London, so I don't know if that's like British slang, British lingo. But I also watch a lot of Love Island, and I don't hear anyone talking like this, so I don't know if that's just a me thing that I have to get used to. But let me know if you felt the same way if you've read this. This book kind of ruined not like a bad ruin, but like it altered my perspective on a lot of books after this. So when I would read other books, other like contemporary romance whatever books, I'd be like, oh, he's cheating, he's out doing this, blah 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 blah. But I'm like, no, that's just BJ. That's literally just BJ. I 100% understand why people are comparing this to Gossip Girl. I do want to continue on with the series. I just haven't bought the next book yet. It's just been sitting in my save for later and in my Amazon wish list, and I just have not bought the second book. I don't know. This one I rated 3.75 stars because it did get a little irritating, like the back and forth of Magnolia and BJ just screwing each other over, but the ending kind of made up for it a little bit. Without the ending, I probably would have rated it 3.5 stars. And the last book I read for that video was Rock, Paper, Scissors by Alice Beanie. This one is a mystery about Mr. and Mrs. Wright. They go to like a bed and breakfast in Scotland or something like that. The plot twist at the end got me. I did not see it coming. I rated this 4 stars. It wasn't 5-star material for me. I did listen to it as an audiobook, so that might have tainted my perception of the book. I realized that I enjoy books less if I listen to them as audiobooks, so I'm trying to stay away from audiobooks, but they're just so convenient. And the last 5 books that I 100% finished in March were part of another video where I was reading sports romances for a week, meaning 7 sports romances. However, it took me over 2 weeks to read all 5 of these books. I don't know what I'm going to title the video. Maybe I might call it the same thing, but we'll see. The first one is Icebreaker by Hannah Grace. I love this book thoroughly. I think this one is tied for first place with Mile High. I was not expecting to like it this much because everyone says that it's really slow, it's not that good, but I loved the banter in it. I loved everything. Seeing the group chats was hilarious. Also, I was a kinesiology major in college, so just hearing about like that one conflict, you know what I mean? And then Nate starts talking about like sports med stuff and like metabolism stuff, and I was like, yes, go Metabolism King, I love him. So that was just one thing that I personally liked to see. But yeah, this one I rated 5 stars. It was phenomenal. I loved it. I devoured it. I found myself wanting to be reading rather than doing whatever else I was doing. I was like at dinner with my family and I was like, no, I need to be with Nate and Stassi right now. The next book I read, oh my gosh, it was a whirlwind. It's Say You Swear by Megan Brandy. I can't even explain how I felt about this book. I love the jealousy, I love the angst, and Noah Riley, you guys, Noah Riley. There was one trope in the ending that I didn't really like because of how predictable it is, but I was actually physically sobbing at the ending of this book. I've never sobbed at a book. I usually just tear up a little bit if I do cry at a book. This one had me sobbing, like I could not breathe sobbing. I was not expecting to be crying that hard at this book, but it was so good, guys. I did end up rating this one 4.5 stars. It would have been 5, but the writing style was a little weird, and that trope that I mentioned earlier really threw me off a little bit. Other than that, it was phenomenal. Please read this if you haven't already. The next book I read was The Right Move by Liz Tom Ford. Look at my tabs, y'all. Can you tell how obsessed I am with this book? So this is the sequel to Mile High. It follows Ryan Shay, who is Stevie's brother from Mile High, and Indy, who is Stevie's co-worker. So basically, Indy goes through a really big breakup, and she and her boyfriend of 6 years split up, and she needs a place to stay. So Stevie's like, oh, my brother has a really big apartment, and he's usually never home because he's flying at away games or just practicing, or he's playing at a home game. So let me ask if you can probably go there and live with him. And he reluctantly says yes, and they become roommates. What made this book 5 stars was simply just Ryan Shay. That's it. Nothing else. Just Ryan Shay and who he was, how he was. He's probably one of my favorite book boyfriends ever. He was so sweet to Indy. I'm so excited for the next book in this series. You guys, you have no idea. I do think I like Mile High slightly better than The Right Move because of the banter and the tension between Stevie and Xander's, but The Right Move is still absolutely phenomenal. I rated them both 5 stars, so they're both good, just in their different ways. Then I read this chunker, Binding 13. Okay, I got the new cover. It's so pretty. I was not expecting to fly through a 700-page book in such a short period of time. I rated it 5 stars as well. This was probably the best reading month for me ever. I had so many 5-star reads. This was definitely a no plot, just vibes kind of book. There were some times when they would just go off on tangents, but it was funny, and it was like you got to experience and learn more about these characters' personalities and who they were. I loved it when they would go on tangents and it wasn't really contributing to the plot, because I just love the characters so much. Also, can we talk about how floppy this book is? And the spine is not creased. Like, hello? If I read this book back when the second book wasn't out, I probably would have died. I don't know how I would have survived that without knowing what happened next. Gibbsy is my favorite character from this book. Don't get me wrong, I love Johnny and Shannon, but Gibbsy, mwah, love him. And the last book for that video that I was able to finish during the month of March was Flawless by Elsie Silver. I think it might be because I read Binding 13 before this one, but it was kind of boring. Like, the characters were so two-dimensional. We didn't really get to know anything about them at all. And again, it might be because Binding 13, I got to see so much about the characters, and then this one was shorter, obviously, so it kind of just grazed the surface of it. There wasn't really much in here about the characters. I just knew that he likes to ride bulls and he's very stubborn. I rated this one 3 stars. It wasn't bad by any means. The third act conflict was kind of dumb. I looked at the reviews online for the second book, and it seemed like everyone liked the second book a little more than this one. So I did buy the second one, and I will be reading it soon. I don't know if I'll be reading it immediately, but I'm kind of getting sick of romances because I've read so many in a row. I need to switch it up a little bit, read a fantasy. Zodiac Academy. I will probably be reading that next. This one featured like a bad boy main male character, but all the guys in all the other books for this sports romance video were all like Golden Retriever boys, and I'm realizing that I like the Golden Retriever boy better than the bad boy because they're just so sweet and they always pamper the girl, and you know what I mean? And those were all of the books that I read in the month of March. As I said in the beginning of this video, I'm not going to be doing a full extensive TBR. I'm just going to be sharing the books that I absolutely have to read. I guess I'll just start off with the books that I didn't finish in March, and there are 3 of them. The first is Throttled. It's for the sports romance video. I got to page 70, I think. I'm just bored, guys. This is another bad boy one, but I want to just finish it just to get this video done. There's nothing wrong with it so far. I'm just bored. And then I also have Colty for the sports romance video. This is the last one that I need. This one is a soccer romance. There's a age gap. I'm just bored, guys. I shared that on my Bookstagram story, and Heather from Heath's Book Club said she read the book physically and it was one of her favorite books ever, but when she listened to the audiobook it was so boring. So I'm thinking I might like it more if I actually read it and not listen to it. Again, there I go with audiobooks, but I think I might just push through these last 150 pages. Maybe MZ isn't for me. I do have one more book from her, The Wall of Winnipeg and Me. I still gotta read that one. I finished From Lukov with Love. I think I gave it 4 stars. It was my last read of 2022. Then I also have Zodiac Academy number 4, which is Shadow Princess. I'm loving it so far. I just had to put it down so I could start my sports romance video. So I'm gonna be picking this up right away, hopefully as soon as I finish Throttled. I might even pick this up before Throttled because I'm starting to get in a slumpy mood and I really don't want to be in a slump, so I might just read this before and just finish it so I can get back on my little reading kick. I also want to read Spy Family number 9. This one just came out and these take me like 30 minutes to read. I might honestly just read this one next so that I have another book done. It kind of helps motivate me to keep reading. If you've never read manga before, I would highly recommend Spy Family as your first series to start with. There's a found family, there's action, and there's comedy, and there's romance, and it's fantastic, and I need to watch the actual anime. There's so many things to watch and there's so many things to read and I can't keep up, guys. I cannot. Then I have Things We Never Got Over by Lucy Score. This is my book club's pick of the month for April. We're reading along on Fable. If you're interested in joining us, the link is in the description, and if you want to join my Discord server where we talk a little more, have some reading sprints and whatnot, the link to that is in the description as well, so you should go check both of those out. This is a small town romance. I'm not exactly sure what else it's about. I know there's a child and a horrible sister. I've heard not so good things about the second one, but everyone really loves the first one. Yeah, that's all I really know about it, and I'm really excited to read this book alongside you guys. And then I have Throne of Glass by Sarah J. Maas. This is gonna be my third time reading this book. I want to read it again just because I don't like completely remember what happened. I just remember really loving it. It's me with no makeup on, sorry. But I just wanted to interject and let you know that I am having a little read along for the rest of 2023. So I have a separate book club on Fable for the Throne of Glass series. So we're going to be reading one book in the series every month. I do want to do a tandem read, but I don't know how that would work with Fable. We'll see what happens when we get there. But yeah, for April, I'm reading Throne of Glass, and I've seen some chats in the little chat rooms or whatever it's called already, so I'm the one who's behind, so y'all are already on it. I will be reading that during the month of April. We're already halfway through April by the time I'm editing this video, but it's fine. Okay, and then lastly I have Keeping 13 by Chloe Walsh. This is the sequel to Binding 13. I already got 44 pages through because I had to find out what happened after the first book. I had to know. But yeah, those are the books that I want to read during the month of April. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 here, but I probably will be reading more. I just don't like how I've been giving out TBRs or whatever and I don't actually stick to them, so I'd rather just give myself like a baseline of a couple books and then let myself have a little more freedom from there on. But yeah, that was it for this video. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you guys in my next video, and if you have any suggestions, please feel free to leave them in the comment section below. But yeah, thanks for watching, guys. Bye!